In this video, I'm going to review The Last of Us Season 2. Episode 7 just dropped, so in this video, there will be plenty of spoilers, and I will be nitpicky a little bit later on, just because The Last of Us Part 2 is my favorite game. Without further ado, let's get right into it. The Last of Us Season 1 showcased emotional action, as Craig Mason explained. Episode 9 of Season 1 shows Joel killing a whole bunch of fireflies to save Ellie. That's important because The Last of Us is about the cycle of violence. So it wouldn't be really impactful if you just talked about the cycle of violence. You need to show it because violence is an action. Season 1 wasn't bad. I was disappointed that there weren't like a lot of action beats. But it wasn't bad. It was fine. And I think a lot of people can agree. Season 1 was fine. This season covers The Last of Us Part 2. And in it, Ellie kills a lot of WLF soldiers and also scars. Abby kills a lot of scars and later on kills some WLF soldiers. So again, we're going full spoilers. If you don't know the game, sorry. The problem with this season is not only is it too short, but also, Ellie, how far are you willing to go for revenge? And how capable are you? Because in the game, Ellie's very capable. In the show, she only kills like 3 people. This season did not feel as big as Season 1. This season sometimes feels like a stage play, and it's really odd. Season 1, you could get away with it a little bit more just because there's more traveling. This season takes place all in Seattle. Let's just get that right out of the way. The sets are amazing, like perfectly weathered. Imagine how expensive that must be to construct such a thing. And the CGI too was great. What I don't understand is, okay, I get you want to do emotional action, but why not actually add actual action and violence? Like add more rather than depressives talking about, life and this and that. Like actually show killing and then show the consequence of that. You show Ellie practicing jiu-jitsu or something in the beginning. Why not actually put that skill to use later on? Why did they skip out on that? I mean, this show is so expensive and they got a lot of money and a lot of hype behind it. And it's like the first game was like critically acclaimed. I would argue even the second game is too. So it's like, you got the support. Surely you would have someone there of common sense where like if the actor can't do action, which I highly doubt, then you would cast somebody else. But it's like, what's going on? Why aren't there these set pieces? Sure, change it from the game, but like why aren't there any set pieces where there's like, a lot of action and stuff, almost like Mission Impossible, let's say, as weird as that'll sound, but it's like, Uncharted, like crumbling buildings, running away from infected, have to crash through a window, this, that, and a third. You have fully automatic weapons too. If you can't like do sock pee or something or whatever, or like you're like really trained with a rifle or something like that, just do like what The Walking Dead does and just spray and pray, right? Do something. Why is it always each episode is like we're in trouble? Let's crouch behind something. Let's spy a little bit, listen in on the conversation, and then when we get our chance, let's scurry away. That's each episode. That's not good enough. It's important. The action this time is important. You have to show how capable Ellie is. You have to show how far Ellie is willing to go to pursue revenge. They killed dogs in the first game. Both, not Abby, but Ellie kills like some dogs. And the owners will like yell out the name, whatever. That didn't happen here. You're supposed to show like later on the bigger picture is like everyone has family. There's like bigger sides, you know, there's consequence to this. They played it safe and then they just went straight for the main bad guys. And it's like, that's really disappointing. I don't know how it is for people who don't know the game and just watch the show. I would imagine that they'll feel like this season was still kind of mid. But it's like this season felt so small in comparison to the first season, and in comparison to the game, extremely small. The first 2 episodes were fine. The first episode took its time. The second episode was pretty big, pretty cool, right? But still, there's something about it where it feels like they're just skipping pages in like a really nuanced book, or it's like bullet points, and the bullet points aren't even covered that well. And so, okay, fine, let's say it's inspired by the game and you make your own story. I feel like the point still doesn't drive through about the cycle of violence. Even the emotional action isn't well executed. That's how I feel, at least. It's a lot of busy work. It's just like monotonous dialogue, talking shit, jokes here and there, haha. So I don't know why they did this. Is it because they are planning 2 seasons to cover The Last of Us Season 2 and perhaps they're going to flesh it out? I doubt it, because you have a lot to do with Abby next season. But this season was extremely dry. Emotionally, I felt, which is crazy because Joel dies, but also action-wise and set-wise. I do not doubt that if somebody crafted a short film based on The Last of Us series, you could probably make it feel the same as this show felt. You could rent places in Pier Space and like decorate it up and just jump to set to set to set. The amount of walking they even did wasn't even like a long range of walking. It always was like stopping, okay, because this. So like I'm thinking, okay, are the sets that expensive or something? What's the handicap here? Why can't you actually delve in and make it like this big thing and have Ellie killing people? She's really, you know. All right, so, but let's put that aside. Let's talk about the characters. So Bella Ramsey, I have no gripe with her. I think, sure, okay, she isn't like my favorite look for the character. Okay, at the time, I was fan casting McKenna Grace or Kaylee Spaney or even Kaitlyn Dever. So Bella Ramsey, I think she's a good actress. Nitpick time. The hair, they need to cut that hair like way shorter. And also it's like, dude, Dina, why did you say that about her boots? Like, why she let her wear the Converses in Pride? Let her wear the Chucks in Pride. Are you kidding me, man? That's like a staple of Ellie's character. Just leave it alone. Why did she have to opt in for just boots? I don't care about the realism. Like that would have been, oh man, I don't get it. I don't get it. And her shirt, that looks like this type of like mechanic shirt that's ripped up and stuff, doesn't match, but it also looks too clean. Did they go to a Marshall's for the costuming in this movie? Dina's costume is fine, whatever. But it's like, these little things I think matter because it like weathers the world as well. And it also adds to the personality of the character. And a lot of the times they were like very clean, which is really odd. Which made me feel like this was done on some stage or something like that. On a short schedule. So it's like this whole okay, and then Dina, they changed her character to where she's hella ride or die for Ellie, which is cool, but in the game she was like ride or die up to a point, which a realistic point, I think, for anybody. I think Dina is like, she makes sense. Ellie, she's really extreme a little bit later on with what she wants to do. Dina was like, yeah, I don't care, I'll die, we gotta do what we gotta do, we're gonna kill them all, we're gonna get into it, and that's fine, I do not care, nothing is off limits. So it's like, okay, because what I'm wondering is how next season, what are you gonna do? Because Dina, what's gonna happen when Ellie decides she wants to pursue Abby again in Santa Barbara? How is that fight going to emerge between Dina and Ellie, and ultimately having Ellie face the consequence of being alone at the very end? Like, how is that going to come up? They tried to kind of change Dina's thought process in episode 7 by Ellie explaining, Joel killed all the fireflies and they would have made a cure out of, from me. And it's like, oh, we got to go home. But her and Dina in pain and pregnant convolutes Dina's thought process. Like those two things. So I don't really know where to stand and why is Dina saying we need to go home? Is it because, okay, Jesse's here, Tommy, we don't know, I got an injury and I'm pregnant, but is it because, Ellie just told me this, so yeah, we got to go home now because this is so fucked up? The message doesn't really come clear. Jesse's character, I don't like it. It's too boring, it's too generic in this show. It's like he was really charismatic. There was something about him. It was like he was a charismatic guy, but also he stuck true to his principles and code. Here, he was just like really monotone and kind of like upset. And it's like, he doesn't seem very likable, especially at the end where he gets shot. Not a big fan of his character. I just, like, for a person who probably never played the game, you'd watch him and you'd be like, I don't really care for this guy. So it doesn't really hit you when he actually gets shot. And then plus the shorter episode count, so you also don't spend much time with Jesse at all. All right, Abby. Abby's fine. Kaitlyn Dever, that monologue in the first episode, or was it like episode 2 or something like that? Probably episode 1. I forgot. It was fine. She was trying to enjoy it. So it was fine. But then Joel just says fuck off or whatever. It's like, I don't know, there was something about it that just felt like a tonal clash. So I wasn't a huge fan. I'm not even a huge fan of the group either. Because the group, they all feel very samey. Like they all have the same personality. And you could have made this a really a type of Kill Bill thing where they all have different personalities and the actors really showcased that with the little time they had. They didn't do that. So, but, and hey, look, Kaitlyn Dever, it's really hard to find a very buff character, a very buff actress. Very difficult to find that can actually act for this role. And Kaitlyn Dever, I mean, she looks a little bit like Abby, face-wise. And I think even her voice sounds very similar to Abby, so I was impressed. I think Kaitlyn Dever, she did a great job with a little time she had. Now, it gets a little tricky. I thought more people would hate on Abby for killing Joel. I'm glad that people... because I thought that was so stupid. People grew out of that, which I'm glad. And there's no heat on Kaitlyn Dever at all. So that's fine. They even changed the way how she executed Joel, which I thought was pretty good. So, okay, but now we move on to the journey. And there's a lot of dialogue between Ellie and Dina. And a lot of the times it just, like, you could have made the episode, you could have added more episodes and have them explore Seattle. If you wanted to, you could even add your own storylines or like plot points or whatever. You know, some original ones you could throw in there to kind of flesh out the world, flesh out the metaphor, show more of the war between the WLF and the Scars. But it was just a lot of like bullshit talking. A lot of, you know, yeah, I can't wait to fuck up Dina and kill this bitch, whatever. Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. All right, let's walk, whatever. It's just boring and like generic. And again, I want to see more of the world because that's a character. The world is a character as well. We didn't really get that. So that's disappointing. And I think for a Last of Us fan, but also as just a regular viewer of the show, I think that it was just very disappointing. It was a major letdown. And Pedro Pascal is an awesome actor. I mean, that episode, I think it was episode 6, where it was all flashbacks essentially, and it was showing, which was, I thought was a cool addition to his backstory. It was showing like, you know, Tommy and Joel's upbringing and his abusive father. I thought that was cool. Lalo Salamanca was there. And then they also showed the, you know, the dinosaur museum, although that was really quick. Like you could have did more stuff with it. Would it be that difficult to even do like the hat thing? Is it important? No, but that's what I felt was missing from season 1. Was there's so many interactions. That's what brings the game alive, is, you know, that Naughty Dog novelty of going through, and then there's like a dialogue option, and it kind of, you know, it brings the characters to life, you know, and it kind of makes you more immersed into the game because you feel like, oh, this is how it would be in real life. I'll probably like speak like this and do something like that, whatever. So in the first season, none of that was really present. It was like cut to the chase each time. So it was like bullet points. So it was like, okay. So, you know, a little bit, the relationship between Joel and Ellie, you know, the father and son dynamic was a little bit artificial or like too fast. If you just added these little brief moments of levity or showing humanity shine through the brush and the foliage and stuff like that, and maybe there's like these old relics of the past and Joel has something to say about it, more to say, you know, they did that a little bit later on when after the fight between Ellie and Joel decides, okay, no, I will take you to the Fireflies, and then they're on a horse and it's a little like jokey. So they could have did a little bit more stuff like that in season 2. You know, that would have been cool. Even Ellie and Riley had some of that in season 1, but in season 2, it's like straight to it. You know, like straight bitch face, hate these motherfuckers, can't wait to kill them. Yeah, whatever. I'm ride or die for you. Yada yada. All right. So now let's get to the nitpicking stuff. So this season introduced spores. Could you not have done that season 1? If you just had done that in season 1, it could have been like a small part. You wouldn't have to go through like this whole thing. Because that episode where like she was chasing Nora was fine, but super short. Like the action for that was super short. And then they introduced the spores. The set was amazing. I like the idea that the infected are breathing out the spores. It's really disturbing. So I think it fits well with The Last of Us. But it's like, is it really a big deal? Because they mention it and then, okay, that's it. Like, what purpose will that have later on? The purpose for spores in the first game was like as a gameplay mechanic. Not really, actually, because it was like, oh, he puts on the mask automatically. But it was like a storytelling mechanic in a way, if that's how I should describe it. Because it's like Ellie's breathing it in. And so before the theater, you know, the mask breaks. I can't get infected. But instead, like, she gets bit multiple times in this season, which I feel like takes away from that arm bite a little bit. So it's like odd now. Just like, oh, she really fucked up with her arm then, because First of all, that arm bite was like hideous for some odd reason, but the other bites are just regular bites. It's like her arm bite kind of looked like it had like a boil or something like that. So it's like now it's just like regular bites. Yeah, why? And then they made a big deal of stalkers. Like, you could have just showed stalkers in season 1. They said they're smarter and stuff. That's just the evolution of the infected. It's like first you have the runners, then they become stalkers, and a couple of years later they become clickers, and then if they live a very long time they become bloaters, and some may become shamblers, and then of course you have the Rat King. But it's like, why did they make that a big deal and then move past it? Because they brought it back again, and then Jesse came to the rescue, but it was like it didn't really feel impactful. It felt like a lot of stuff they just put here just to put it. And I don't know which audience they were catering to, because they didn't really do a good job catering to the hardcore fans of the game. And so if they added it just for people who don't really care about the game but like the show, for them it was like a thing that you just threw in there. Are you going to bring it? Like, how big of a deal is this? So it's like stuff like that. It just feels like a lot of stuff they threw in and it doesn't have gravity. There's not really a point for it. And this is the wrong game to cover if you're going to do it that way, because this game has a lot of emotional beats, a lot of action beats. There's a lot of really tough parts in the game. So, but okay. So now we're in episode 7. All right. And first of all, I just want to say, like, it's so cool having Jeffrey Wright play Isaac. So great to have him reprise his role. And I like that they showed his origin in a way, where he like worked for Fedra, and then now, he's leading the WLF. So that's cool. But they didn't do anything that's like, my thing is, if you're going to be different, be courageous. Episode 3 of season 1 was courageous and very divisive. A lot of people said it was woke. A lot of people said it was this, it was that. For me, it wasn't really woke. I mean, I could see why they would say that, but for me, it wasn't really woke. I'm one of the few that actually liked episode 3. I'm not like gonna do tricks on it, on episode 3, like some people do. But like episode 3 was fine. I liked it. I would have preferred the action, but I liked it. You don't really see any of that courage in this season. I felt like they played it safe. And I don't know if it's because The Last of Us Part 2 is so impactful story-wise that they said, okay, well, we'll just let the story, shine through anyways. Or like those, but they glanced past a lot. And that was really disappointing. And I got why they didn't want to go fully in depth with the scars, because anyway, in the first game, Ellie, she met the scars, but you didn't really know much about them until later on with Abby. So I got why there was like these small introductions, and they tried to do their part with like making the humanizing them and stuff like that. So that's fine. But yeah. So anyways, episode 7 was disappointing to say the least as well. And there's some things I liked emotional wise. So, okay, Jesse's in the picture. We gotta look for Tommy. Then we have like the boat ride, the choice that she makes. I like the explanation she gives a little bit. And then we have the choice. Okay, I'm gonna go to the Ferris wheel and try to find Abby. That whole interaction between Mel, Owen, and Ellie, I thought it was fine. And I think it's really cool too that they showed that Ellie, she like fell off the boat and then she was on the shore from the Scar Island, which is funny because that's the island she's supposed to be on if she wants to kill Abby. Because at that time, Abby is escaping with Lev, and they're trying to get on a boat because they want to get back to the Ferris wheel, right? And at that time, Lev's sister dies. So it's interesting that like Ellie was on the island and she should have stayed on the island, or if like, you know, something happened where they actually transport her and then she sees Abby and then she tries to I thought they were going to do that at first. I was like, oh my God, they're completely doing this differently. And then, you know, they showed like the beginning of that. That makes sense because later on they're going to flesh it out more with Abby's point of view. And then she goes back to the Ferris wheel. And first of all, that set, like the theater, it looks exactly like the game, which was amazing to see. And then that like aquarium set, I don't doubt we'll see it more fleshed out and it'll look exactly like the game too. So that's really awesome. So she goes, she sees Mel and Owen. I liked the interaction a little bit. I felt like it was a little bit more smoother in the game, but I liked what they did here. When Mel, she gets nicked in the artery and she's bleeding out and she's like, they added strength to her character as well, which I liked. You know, she just wasn't like giving bitch fits. They added strength where she was like, cut it out, you know, basically save my baby, but she fades away. And so Ellie ends up not cutting out the baby. I thought that was brilliantly performed by both actresses. That I really liked a lot. You know, that was a really good emotional beat. I felt like Owen died a little bit too quickly. Like I felt like there could have been more of an interaction there. So then Tommy shows up, Jesse shows up, okay, and they make it back to the theater and it kind of plays out almost the same like it does in the game. This time Abby, although I wish Abby was wearing her tank top, man. Her black tank top, that would have been cool. That would have been like the game. So they changed the costume for that too, but that's fine, whatever. And I was hoping we'll see like a casting for Lev. I know it's too soon, but I thought it would have been cool if they actually did something like that. So, but we'll see. Watch that. You know, we're going to see some announcements probably sometime soon on who's going to play Lev, you know, but... And then Abby, she says her line, you know, we let you live and you wasted it. I felt like she acted really good there, you know, and even Jesse, he dies the same way. And then you have Tommy, he's on the ground. Ellie, you know, she's more expressive here, or she's not as strong. She's more like she's crying or whatever. And then bang. And then now, I loved how they did that where they introduced, you know, the second half of the game. They introduced what's going to happen in season 3. We're going to see Abby's point of view, where like Abby wakes up, sees the whole stadium that looks exactly like the game, amazing CGI, and then it's like Seattle, day 1, and then it ends. That's a good tease, because then now we're going to see Abby's point of view. I worry because it's like, okay, you just finally introduced Abby. You really have to make us like Abby and add new changes for us to like Abby, but you also have to make us care about whatever you're going to introduce, because there's so much, you know, history now with Ellie and the people in Jackson and stuff. So now if you're going to add Abby, you better make us like whatever you're going to introduce, because already people don't really care. I don't think people are super mad at Abby, but now at least... but I feel like a lot of people just don't really care, you know? So, but all in all, I like this season could have been 9 episodes too, and you could have added your own stuff to it, and you could have made action beats and like cool set pieces, and you know, like what about the part where Ellie... There's a whole building filled with stalkers and she has to sneak through and there's crushed glass. Like, why don't you add that and make that cool? You know what I mean? And she crashes through whatever. Hillcrest is completely obliterated. There's no Hillcrest at all. Like, why, what's the actual point of skipping out on it other than like it being a budget thing? Because to me, that is so important, the action behind killing these soldiers. And then you have Abby's point of view, and maybe you could have some of these soldiers show up and they're like recognizable. And then it's like, okay, then you get the point goes through better. So it's like, I don't know. I'm really bothered by this season and disappointed and saddened because The Last of Us Part 2 is my favorite game. And this season didn't really do a good job in complementing the game nor adapting the game. And this season also isn't a very good show as well. Like, it didn't offer much for people who were fans of season 1. So that's what disappoints me a lot. Was it well acted? Sure, it was. I mean, that's what you'd expect anyway. I think that's a little like, it's too talked about, or people talk about that a lot. It's like, oh, is it well acted? Yeah, it's well acted. It's fine. Whatever. Who cares? It's like what you do with the acting. And it just fell flat for me. Like a lot of the times, it just like everything just fell flat for me. And so now you have season 3. It's going to cover Abby. Okay, what are you going to do for season 3? You got Seattle day 1, 2, and 3 with Abby. You have the 2 best parts or action parts from that game, which is the building that's filled with infected. Are you actually going to cover that? Are you going to cover the sky bridge? Are you going to cover the building filled with infected? Like fully? Are you going to do that actually? Like, will it be cool, or is it going to be only one floor? And it's like from point A to point B and that's it. How are you going to cover the Rat King? How will the action be with the Rat King sequence? Is she going to have the flamethrower or like some sort of, I'd imagine she will, because they have Tommy with the flamethrower, so it's like kind of like an introduction to that. So are you going to have that? Is she going to have like some sort of special weapon to, cut short the boss encounter? Or is she actually going to use an axe to like strike off that attached infected? Like, what's going to happen with that? How short will it be? Because if you're skipping out on the action so much, like how short is it going to be? Right? She doesn't seem really badass to me, because in the first episode, I think she slid down and the gun was like bigger than her whole body. And the way how she held it didn't really seem like Abby, how she would hold it. It's like, what's going on? And then the fight between Ellie and Abby, how short will that be? Or like gruesome will that be? What happens after that fight? Are you going to show the farm? Are you going to show Ellie in Santa Barbara? Is it going to be super short where you see slaves there and people imprisoned and that they're tortured and crucified? Are you going to show all that stuff? Are you going to skip past that? How is the final encounter going to be? Are you going to show like the epilogue where Ellie's alone? Are you going to do all that in 7 episodes? Is that possible to do? It's just like you're skipping past so much emotional beats and action beats, and it doesn't feel fulfilling at all. So it's disappointing, and I do worry for season 3. Let's say, because I don't imagine HBO would want a show that doesn't last more than 4 or 5 seasons. They want to make money. This show's making a lot of money. It doesn't really make sense to me, like because there's studio greed and stuff like that. Are they fine with just having 3 seasons and that's it? I know we don't have The Last of Us Part 3 yet. There has been news on it. But, you know, Neil Druckmann, Naughty Dog, they're busy with their new game, Intergalactic. I always considered The Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2 to be Neil Druckmann's Godfather. Where it's like, Francis Ford Coppola did Part 1, critically acclaimed. Part 2, critically acclaimed. Waited years, did Part 3, was shit. So I'm kind of... And you know what's funny, actually? Here's the thing, right? He did... Part 1, Part 2, Apocalypse Now. Intergalactic is essentially Apocalypse Now. I'm not going to go into major spoilers because there were leaks, but it's heavily inspired by Apocalypse Now. And the guy who plays... his name is like... I can't remember his name, but he played Lalo Salamanca in Better Call Saul. He's playing like that Marlon Brando character in this new game. So... And then and then there's The Godfather Part 3, and that was shit on forever. And that was like a blight on that guy's career. I felt like The Last of Us Part 2 is a blight on Neil Druckmann's career, even though it shouldn't be. But it's like, all right. So you got Part 1, Part 2, Intergalactic, then are you going to do Part 3? When is that coming out? Because these games take a long time. They take close to like 5 years to do more. What happens with the show? What I worry about is are they just gonna say, hey, look, Neil, do you have any ideas of how Part 3 would be? And then there's that conversation with Craig Mazin, and then Craig takes some ideas and then constructs a season 4 with an original story. Because you know what happens, right, after that. Like, any artist would know that. I mean, it's logical. It's if you do that, there's no way Neil Druckmann is ever going to make a Part 3. He's fine with leaving it at Part 2, but there's no way he'll ever make a Part 3 because then he's like creatively robbed in a way. Because there's a lot of ideas that you have to let them simmer for a really long time to the point where they become ideals and like principles in a way. That's how you make a world, storytelling. It's like once if they adapt Part 3 without there actually being a Part 3, there will be no Part 3 probably. Unless there's like something like 14 years from now or something like that. And I got a feeling Neil Druckmann, I think he does a great job as a director. I got a feeling actually after this, he's probably going to venture into filmmaking or television. We'll see. I like him. I like him a lot. So I have no doubt that he'll be capable to do that. But as for this season, in total, it was a major letdown. This is a pretty long video. I just had a lot of thoughts to say about it. I was supposed to do like an episode by episode review. I just been so busy doing my own short film. It's like, I understand it's like a major headache. So... But anyways, if I did episode by episode, there wouldn't be much for me to talk about because they skip past through so much. It's like, what the hell I'm going to talk about? Just, yeah, oh, I like that joke Ellie said to Dina. That was really funny. Or, oh, yeah, the scars, I feel bad for them. Yeah. Or, oh, no, the scars are actually pretty, like, messed up in their own way. Like, okay. And that's every episode. The only episode that was, like, really different. First of all, okay, episode 1, 2, fine. Episode 6, fine. Then episode 7, just because of the ending. That's it. That's what you would talk about. Even episode 6, Joel playing the guitar was like too late. They should have just did it in the beginning. It was too late. Who cares? And anyway, he didn't even... It's not that you have to be Shakira singing or something like that, but he wasn't even... There was something about that whole scene that wasn't like... I just didn't really care about it as much as like people cared about it, from the game. And then they had that whole thing where it's like, all right, we got... What's his name? Eugene? I forgot his name. This is why I killed Eugene, essentially. It was like, dude, who cares, man? Who cares? It's like, really, who cares? Oh, they're all geared up too. All of them have so much gear. It's like, it's insane. They have so much gear, which makes sense. It's realistic. I understand. But it's like, you're really comfortable and you're clean. And also, I know you're mad and shit that Joel's dead, but I mean, I would expect you to be killing a lot of people and you're not doing that. So it's like, yeah, you might as well listen to Jesse fuck off or something, or send an assassin one day, because you're not an assassin, because you only killed like 3 people. And clearly this doesn't feel like the cycle of violence. It feels like the cycle of cautiousness, if anything, because you're always scurrying away the moment that there is danger. Realism or no realism, who gives a damn? It's a television. It's a TV show. Who cares? So I don't know, man. I am disappointed. And I'm scared for the next season. Very scared for the next season. I'm not liking it so far. And that's it. Next season should be it. Unless they do something like Euphoria, where they add 2 sort of short films or episodes, if they want to do something like that. But it's like, okay. Or unless they make the final episode an actual movie or something, and then they have, but that's like weird too. It's like the time dedication is like weird. Yeah, I'm like pissed. I am actually mad. I am really actually mad. I should have expected this, but I didn't expect it to be such a letdown. You know, just for a show, just as a show. So I am let down. Yeah, I am very let down. I'm very disappointed because this is like, I love The Last of Us, you have no clue. And I'm just super, super let down, man. I'm like bummed out right now. So I don't know. I don't know, but you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm sure you guys probably have similar thoughts just like me. Although a lot of you probably hate The Last of Us Part 2. So, you know, it is what it is. I do have a review for 28 Years Later. That's coming out on June 20th. I also have a fan film dedicated to 28 days later. It's called 28 Months Later. So if you guys are interested, I'll have some more information about that a little bit later on. We're going through the process right now. So I'm super excited for that. That's going to be like my first short film ever. And it's like it is sort of like a big budget. It's a lot of stress. So I kind of get production now. And yeah, I just can't wait to show you guys that. So, and there will be more videos to come. I'm a little absent these days just because I've been so busy with that, because it is like a really high quality production that we're trying to get through. So you know, it is a headache as a director, and as the lead actor it is a headache. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down below, and I love you guys. See you guys.